and welcome to December 31st, 2023. It's the final day. Dun dun. Okay. So I had an idea like 2 seconds ago. It's been more than 2 seconds, but they don't need to know that. I had this idea about 2 seconds ago that Ellie and I should talk about the games that we played in 2023, because she's played a lot and I've looked at a lot. And so I figured together we could, talk about some, fun games. And since she's probably played more games in 2023 than I can think of, then who better to talk about it than her? Because I trust her sense of quality. Which microphone? Which camera am I looking at? I keep on looking at that camera, but that's not a camera. That's the computer screen. The camera's up here. Anyway,
I avoid it by not looking at any camera.
Yeah. Okay.
Just the wall.
Just the wall
over there,
or
the side of your head.
So anyway, hi. How's it going? It looks like a little face too. It's like, oh. You see the two eyes? Yes. So now I know what I'm looking at, but I can't read and check myself and look at the camera at the same time. So it's just a little mess all over. Anyway.
If I look at the camera, you don't see my eyes whatsoever because my glasses reflection. Oh. I designed it this way. Who needs eye contact with the audience that doesn't exist? Sorry.
I have an audience!
I mean in person, like...
Okay, yeah. I know at least 2 people who are going to watch this video.
Me and you?
I'm not going to name names because then I'll hurt people's feelings. Hi, Seth.
Hi, Mom.
Those are the 2 people I was thinking of. But everybody else is totally, I love that you are here. All right. Should we just start talking?
Yeah.
Okay. The top of your list is Starfield. That was probably like the biggest game that came out in 2023.
I suppose biggest is
subjective. Sure.
The biggest company of my list.
Perhaps most hyped
game
of 2023. One of them. I guess there has been a lot.
Yeah.
There's been a lot. I mean, we got Starfield, Baldur's Gate 3, Diablo 4. Just name 3 that we will talk about in turn. But to start, Starfield.
Yeah.
Go.
Go. Well, Starfield was interesting because I had not played very much of any Bethesda games already, just in general. I played a little bit of Fallout 4, and it didn't cater to me very well because it was very shooty and, big scary bugs leaping at you and stuff, and so it was just like, no thanks.
I love the Fallout franchise, so...
Yeah.
That's probably why she checked that out. But it's very radiation transformed creatures, and so I can understand that would not be everybody's bag of tricks.
There was also the fact that I think when I tried it, I was kind of getting into gaming in general, and so it was a bad time for me to even try it just because of how vast. And many buttons and many commands and
big open world, where to go, what to do, so much.
Yeah, and I had never experienced that before, so just in general, it was overwhelming. Now that it's been a couple of years, I could probably get into it, but we're not talking about Fallout. We're talking about Starfield. Starfield.
Fallout in space.
Yeah. I enjoyed it because of the, one of the things that Bethesda really likes doing is the creation, creating your own character and making it how you want. I really enjoyed that part of it. That's just something that I've always done. You play The Sims and you make your own character, and that was really exciting for me. Because of all the time that I've spent playing games prior to Starfield, I now know how to shoot a gun and and allocate skill points correctly, and figure out what I want to put those skills into and what I want to enjoy in the game. And it being open world, and one of the most exciting parts for me was the space element. I really have enjoyed the stars and constellations and space and stuff and learning about it growing up. So having a space themed game was super exciting.
I think one of the biggest appeals of games like Starfield, what Starfield in particular really shines at, is that you are really free to do just about whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can follow the main quest.
Yeah.
You can, if you like the combat, you can, really lean into the combat, shoot whatever you want. If you want to play as, the space trader, trading from one planet and then selling on another planet and try to amass a fortune, you can do that. If you want to build a home, you can build the home. If you want to build an outpost in the middle of a barren planet, you are free to do that, or any combination you want. And pretty much whichever direction that you're walking in, you're going to trip over something new and interesting to do, and something that can take your attention away to do some other quest. And it's so full of things to do at your own pace, or like a new quest, something to stumble on.
Right. And I think going towards that, there's the people in your, that you come across where they're like, okay, these are going to be your specific romanceable options. And I really enjoyed that. Like, I like the romance part of games a lot, and so that was fun to explore. And that each of the 4 people that you have the option of you can end it in marriage, or you can divorce them and they don't want to talk to you ever again. That kind of stuff is really fun, and it's like, no consequences kind of thing, but having that the game pull at your heartstrings for certain characters and having that depth is very cool. And it, having the dialogue options that are different to who you made your character to be is very cool. And the different main areas, the different main cities on the planets that you visit, those are all very well done. I think there's a lot to say negative about the game that plenty of people have talked about, and I don't.
Bethesda games are kind of notorious for being a bit of a buggy mess.
Yeah. Thankfully, I didn't really experience that many bugs. But just in general, like, people saying, too much is too much. It's too wide and therefore too shallow. And I didn't mind the shallow bits, because the parts that were designed to be part of the main stuff is deep, as long as you look for it.
Like, it has a lot of stuff, but if it's spread out over, the, universe, then it's going to be lacking in certain areas.
Yeah. But I think
that's fair.
They focused on certain areas, and that's where they thrived. And I enjoyed those parts.
Awesome, I think.
Yeah.
I'm like interviewing her. That's awesome. And so, transitioning from that, Baldur's Gate 3, which was another huge game that came out of early access, full release, boom. And I think that is the game that has brought in the biggest attention on games this year, really. Like I think Starfield might have been the most hyped over a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I think Baldur's Gate 3 was the biggest immediate release, which had the biggest, all the attention all at once, and brought in people who wouldn't normally play games, and also people who wouldn't normally know anything about Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't know about it until it exploded.
Baldur's Gate 3?
Yeah. I didn't know it existed. I didn't know it was in development. Knew nothing about it. You know, and I like Dungeons and Dragons. We, you know, play in a campaign. We enjoy it. So, you know, all of a sudden it's very popular and it's like, oh, okay, what's all the hype about? And I really enjoyed it. I didn't finish it. Like Starfield, I did not finish the main quest. Very much, you know, oh no, it's close to the end, I'm not gonna, you know, finish.
Meanwhile, some people are like, it's a 200-hour game, but I've already started my 3rd playthrough.
Yeah, I can't do that. I get the nervousness when the pop-up that's like, you can't go back if you cross this line, you know, and I'm like, no thanks, I'm just not gonna play anymore. And that's not great, but the, you know, first quarter of the game that I have played has been wonderful.
You've played more than the first quarter, surely.
I think I've played the first act and that's it.
Really?
And I think there's 3 acts.
Okay.
I haven't played very much actually of Baldur's Gate, but
you've like restarted it like 3 times.
But
that first act.
It's because there's so much in just the first act that it's such a deep game. And there's so much to do, and there's so many different variables that go into different things, and you know, what, how can I get away with not fighting in this thing, or do I have to fight, but how can I, you know, what abilities do I have that I can make this fight easy or fun, or, you know, can I shove somebody off this cliff versus punching them? You know, can I befriend the spiders that are in the cave to, you know, get them on my side, or, you know, different things like that, and that's been very, very, very... We're back.
So I thought that you had played almost 100 hours of the game, but I guess you played more like 50, but still, I'd still say that's a very solid amount of gameplay.
Yeah. I think the only game that I've ever had 100 hours in is Stardew Valley.
That brings us to our next point, I guess.
Well, so Stardew Valley is not something that it's just like,
it just
exists. There, you know, I don't...
It's one of those long time where it's like, this game always exists, like Minecraft.
Yeah, like, I enjoy all the parts of it. There's plenty of things on it online that, you know, I don't necessarily want to chat.
And there's like constant updates.
Forever. Not constant.
Well, I mean, he's been updating the game for so many years, and a big patch just came out in 2023.
There, and this final maybe update is coming, and it's, you know, a bunch of new additions and updates and stuff is pretty exciting. That's coming next year. And then as well as, you know, Concerned Ape's other new game that he's working
Haunted
on.
Chocolatier?
Yeah, that
chocolate.
I'm excited about. But yeah, just Stardew Valley is one of those comfort games where it's like, I want to be gaming, but I don't want to think. I want to, like, put on a show in the background and not have to worry about anything. And so that's why, you know, I have 100 hours on there.
Absolutely. You know, that's like on the same level as like Harvest Moon or Rune Factory.
Yeah.
So it's...
I have a lot of farming cozy games.
Absolutely.
That, you know, are on the list that I'll be talking about today, but it's like... And a bunch came out this year that, you know, some were hits and some were misses, and I think it's really interesting that a lot of content creators compare most farming games now to Stardew Valley, and that's something that's like, good on you, Concerned Ape, for making almost the baseline, even if you weren't the original.
The standard. Yeah.
Yeah.
The baseline that everything else is going to be compared to.
Yeah, it's a Stardew.
Yeah,
it's a Stardew like, and it's like, whoa, okay, all right.
Fair enough. So we kind of jumped ahead a little bit,
Yeah.
but that's my fault. I don't think you even had Stardew Valley on your
No.
main list, so that was a bonus.
Yeah.
Bonus.
Woo!
But next on your list was Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
Which I also played. This came out at the beginning of the year. It was supposed to come out in 2022, but was delayed to 2023, and then the Switch version didn't even come out until November. But it came out on everything else at the beginning of the year. Basically, you get to live out your fantasies of enrolling into Hogwarts and Expelliarmus.
I don't know that there's a lot to talk about. I enjoyed the game because it was right after I had finally watched all the movies for the first time. I had not grown up with Harry Potter, so I knew nothing about it. And then we watched all the movies from, in the span of, 5 months or whatever. And right after we watched the final movie is when Hogwarts came out. So it was just like, oh, this is perfect timing. Let's get it and kind of immerse ourselves in the world.
And I don't know if there's a caveat to say, separating, the art from the artist kind of thing, and how the game can exist on its own without any relation to, something that someone else. So
right.
I think the game can stand on its own, and that the people who worked on the game have nothing to do with the beliefs of other people. I know that's a very roundabout sort of way of saying things, but I do think that the game had a difficult job in having to be a good game while still coming out in a time that is the whole Harry Potter franchise in a bit of turmoil, because the creator not necessarily being a fantastic person. So I think that there's a lot to say about the game being so good despite that.
And them making sure that there's the diversity that people were complaining so much about, and knowing that the creators of the game itself are separate, and they wanted to prove that, and they put in plenty of evidence that they are not on the same side.
Yeah, or at least that the wizarding world is full of all types of people, and we can embrace that, and it doesn't affect the game. The game is not worse for some reason for having something or not having something, and it's really weird that some people try to argue otherwise. But and also it's just a good game. Like, you get to fly around, you get to travel through the crazy big castle, finding secrets and going on quests, and it's like if you grew up with the books, like me, I grew up with reading the books, and it's like, oh, I found this area that references a person, or I found a chocolate frog. It's just all these different little things that just really lets you it's an open world game with a Harry Potter flavor to it, and it's just one of those things that
yeah.
it's a very inoffensive game is basically the only thing I can say. Like it doesn't necessarily do anything amazing in the realm of games, but it just, not every game needs to be Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Now for a game that we played together, Scene Investigators.
Yeah. So Scene Investigators is new comparatively to most of the games on the list.
Yeah.
Where you go into crime scenes, but you're not a crime scene investigator. You're not solving a crime and putting away a person. You are it very much feels like the person's already been caught and they know that much. They just kind of want to know the backstory of what's going on, because that is all they give you. And
Basically,
like the person who did it is usually very clear. That is not what you're looking up, and they have the list of questions that are very vague, and it's very fun looking at all the evidence and putting together the story.
It's basically just a logic puzzle that's with a CSI flavoring.
Yeah.
So you go around, you're looking at the things, and you try to, your reason, think, how does this all stuff fit together. The frustrating part is that some of it is like, you miss one detail, and it's like, how am I supposed to know any of this?
The one post-it note that's hidden in a drawer behind the phone's backing is the thing that points you to the exact answer. That is not that is not very fun after 2 hours of screaming at each other.
The concept itself is really good,
Yeah.
and I think that because we played it together and we both kind of were able to bounce things off of each other, and two heads are better than one, we were able to enjoy it. Yeah. Another game that we played together was Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1.
Yeah.
Which came out a couple years ago.
Yes.
But I hadn't gone that far into it, and she had already beat it. But I wanted to play through it because Sherlock Holmes The Awakened was in Kickstarter, and then it came out, which was a remake.
A remake of
It was a remake of an older game that she
that I had played.
grew up with.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, let's play. Let me finish Chapter 1, and then you can help me, and then we can play it together. And so it had been enough time since she had played it, so it wasn't necessarily just her giving the answers. We were able to kind of work through it together, and it's really fun. Where it's like you have a case. It's like Scene Investigators, but in a more open world thing, and things actually kind of make sense a little bit better. Sorry. So you get to be Sherlock Holmes and do Sherlocky things. I mean, it's the cool thing about Chapter 1 specifically is that it is like Sherlock's first cases. It's him as a young man. He hasn't gotten a drug habit yet, he hasn't met Watson yet. He is very much green in the realm of what is right, what is wrong, what are his moral, dilemmas that he has to work through. And that's a big part of the game's plot line is what does he value and how does it affect his cases. And I think that's something that I've never seen before in a Sherlock Holmes thing, and so that's what really grabbed me when I first played it and thought Steven should enjoy it too. Awesome. Speaking of twos, a game that it hasn't been released yet. It's in kind of a beta early access playtest thing, is a game called Damned 2. I really liked the original Damned, but it has not aged well. It will not run well on computers. it like crashes, kind of buggy. But it's a horror game. It's kind of like Dead by Daylight, but not. So you have a monster who has to hunt you down in like this like hotel, or if there's other environments. And then the survivors have to find keys to unlock new hotel rooms, and the fun, I think, is not only is finding the keys and trying to get to the exit, but there's a certain joy in being the monster, and especially on voice chat, and kind of taunting your friends, like, I know you're in this room.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
going to get you.
And like they have their own voice chat channels where I'm sure the monster doesn't actually hear you, but the way we play it is we all hear each other no matter if you're the monster or not, which means you have to tell your other survivor
I'm in
friends,
this other room.
I'm in this room with the thing. Come follow me. I'm gonna go find you first so that they can't, because the monster doesn't see you until it like appears, and so you want to be as like vague as you can so it doesn't like just sit in the room and babysit you until it has enough energy to attack. And so it's just like there's that other added layer of excitement and like trying to be sneaky about where you are.
And then the monster is able to turn visible and then hunt down the people, right. And there's that tension. It's like, oh, I know who you are. I'm here. I see you. I'm chasing you. And it's like, oh no, my timer ran out. And so the survivor's like, whoo.
And then of course, because it's being made currently,
there's bugs. There's difficulties.
The bugs make the game fun and frustrating at the same time. Is the key that you need actually going to pop up? Who knows? Are we going to get frustrated looking for it for 2 hours? Yes. And are we able to let them know so they can fix it? And it's such a small group of people. I think it's like 2 people making this game.
Probably.
They just are like, great, like, we'll do that now. Like that's something that I've really enjoyed, being able to like
follow the development of it
and being included.
I like how the game is, it's scary, but it's like a safe scary. Like I feel safe, but I'm like terrified out of my mind, but it's kind of like, ooh, that scared me. Ooh.
Why is this metal door so loud? Somebody get the WD-40, please.
It's like, oh my god,
my ears.
The lights are flickering. There's hands coming out of the ground. That was in the first game.
The walls are oozing green
They don't
slime.
even.
There's a black slime? I don't know.
But if the second game is going to be anywhere near as fun as the first game, which I think it already is, but adding more monsters. Right now there's only one monster in this like demo, but there were like 4 or 5 or 6 in the original game. So if they are able to add even half of that many, then I think it'll be really great. Yeah. Like, literally, the first game had weeping angels, and so you would plant a weeping angel statue, and then whenever a survivor looked at the statue, it lit up for the monster. And so if the statues were looked at long enough, then you'd be able to trigger your so I'm a big Doctor Who fan. I'm slowly getting her into it too. So yeah, that's something to look forward to in 2024 and beyond. But it was still something that we played together a bit, so that I guess that was enough to make her list. And then we also played Blanc together. I believe it's pronounced Blanc.
Some people say Blanc, some people say just Blanc.
Blanc?
Because it's French, and Old French, they pronounce the C. New French, they do not. So, who knows?
New French.
French people.
They made a sequel! So, basically, one's a fox.
And one's a deer.
And one's a deer.
Or
It's something like that.
calf.
And you are in snow, and you have to interact with environmental puzzles, working cooperatively to get through and reunite with your family. And there's a little bit of a story arc, but it's mostly just a really peaceful and beautiful. It's mostly black and white because it's mostly snow, but it's just so beautiful, and just being able to work together, next to each other, playing the game. It was a memorable little experience.
Yeah, and it's just like you don't have a lot of words for it because it's a short experience, but it's an experience. Where you fall in love with these little baby animals, working together, and they're natural enemies, but they got separated from their families, and you gotta they gotta work together to find their respective families, and that cutesy little storyline, hits different, and it makes it made me cry at the end, and so it was just one of those memorable games that I just needed to list.
I always like playing games with you and spending time with you.
Yeah.
Another game that I remember you talking a lot about, Dave the Diver.
Yeah. Dave the Diver was one of 2 games that I kind of got obsessed with. I did not finish it because, of course, I didn't. But you're just a little dude, and you're
just a little dude.
You're just a little dude, and you go, you swim, you dive, and you collect fish for your sushi restaurant. And I thought that was the most cute thing. A lot of people are like, is it really cozy because you're killing fish? Like, you have a chance of dying in this game. Is it cozy? And, it's like, well, maybe not cozy, but it's cutesy. And,
there's tense moments.
Yeah, you meet merfolk, and there's a lot of different quests, and you meet various different characters that are very strange, and you make a bunch of sushi that, like, the sushi you can only make if you get the right ingredients, and I love that. Like, you looking for a specific fish because you want to make the specific sushi, or, like, trying to go for the sharks and the really hard things to catch because it'll make you more money in your restaurant. That's something that's really cool, and, scratches that, like, logic, tycoon kind of game that's a lot more interactive. So that was one of the games that I just absolutely obsessed about. And then the other one was another boat game, Dredge.
Which side note, there's actually going to be like a I don't know if it's already out, but there's like a Dave the Diver Dredge crossover DLC.
Yeah.
So that's something interesting.
Yeah,
but
I think it came out.
All right.
I think it came out during the.
But tell us about Dredge.
Dredge is a Lovecraftian inspired or esque game where you are a fisherman who got recruited by this island to be their local fisherman. And there's, like 5 separate areas where you go and do the quests of the specific people living in that region, looking for the specific creepy fish and having, like, very supernatural occurrences happening around you. And so it's like a creepy horror game that's also cute. I don't know how that, can work so well, but it does in this game. And, they have their little mini games and stuff, but just having to, make sure you don't die while pulling up treasures from the deep is very cool.
Yeah, I remember you were really into it for quite a while. Speaking of Lovecraft and creepy and cute, you also played Call of Cthulhu.
Call of Cthulhu. That's not a very cute game. It's not a cute game.
Okay.
It was one of the first games I played in 2023, so I have a hard time remembering it. was definitely creepy and Lovecraftian, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the game a lot. I think it had a lot of the same elements as the Sherlock games, and like the style, but also like mystery solving kind of stuff and investigating your environment. But also the horror edition was fun. So that was a game that I enjoyed at the beginning of the year.
Backtracking a little bit, a game that you got like really into leading up to the sequel, which you haven't played, but you played a lot of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Breath of the Wild was something that I had gotten when it first came out, I think, but I never, like, I played the first, like, 5 minutes kind of thing when it first came out, and it just was too much for, beginner gamer me, and so I was like, I'm gonna try it again, and I didn't finish it, but I got pretty far. I think I was on the last temple whenever I quit playing.
Ganon waits.
Yeah. But that was a game that, it was one of those games that, I enjoyed figuring out the mechanics, and a lot of the stuff that I did was the open world aspect where you're going and doing quests for little people versus
just a bunch of little dudes.
Versus like the main story. I mean, like the people that are inhabiting the world trying to do their fetch quests for them, and that was my main joy. The fighting was fine. I didn't really enjoy it all that much, and I think that was one of the reasons why I stopped playing. But I do like my horse mechanics, and that's,
you're okay, girl.
That's why I liked
Red Dead Redemption.
Red Dead Redemption, and I'm playing through it a little bit right now. But I technically did not play most of it in 2023, so right. I only briefly am mentioning it right now.
You played most of it in 2022, and then Stadia shut down.
Yes.
Because you were playing it through Stadia,
yeah.
And so you had to basically start over in 2023.
Yes, and that was very sad.
Yeah.
Very frustrating.
Yeah. Stadia was very underappreciated. It didn't get the respect that it probably should have. It had a rough launch, and I think Google probably didn't give it the attention it deserved, and so it just kind of suffered the fate that many Google products have suffered over the years.
Yeah.
But
it was very helpful for me in my gaming.
Yeah, getting you into gaming in 2022. And I think cloud gaming is going to be just ever more a mainstay.
Yeah.
Like how many games did you play on Game Pass? I don't need an actual exact number. Just a lot.
A lot, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Like main things was Assassin's Creed, Origins and Odyssey.
Starfield.
I played on Game Pass. Just the very, very large games that my little laptop cannot run. And nowadays it's getting more and more games that my laptop cannot run, or I don't want to play on the Steam Deck.
This has been a big gaming thing for Ellie in 2023. This baby can handle so many games. This baby can handle so many games.
Yeah.
And just being able to, download whatever Steam game and it just basically just run with minimal issue is such... I cannot overstate how thankful I am for this device in giving her the ability to play games that she wouldn't be able to play otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, be it that's not available on cloud streaming, or doesn't run on a laptop that doesn't have a dedicated graphics card.
The graphics cards, yeah. And none, that's beside the point of space and memory and.
Sure. I mean, when you have games that are 160 gigabyte downloads, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't got that space.
Games are too big. And so that's why I think, cloud streaming is just going to be more of the norm. Is because, like if you have, GTA 6 coming out in 2025 and it's going to be 300 gigabytes, how many people are actually going to have 300 gigabytes free that are going to want to dedicate 300 gigabytes to just one game? I mean, there's plenty of people, sure, but games like that, having it on Game Pass or GeForce Now, being able to just stream it and you click play and they're able to play. That's So I think the internet infrastructure across primarily the United States is going to improve to handle stuff like that, and just video streaming in general has become more of the norm in recent years. And so all these things, it's just there's places that it's going to be rough, but I think it, because of how the streaming is here to stay, it's going to force internet infrastructure to improve in places that it might have suffered previously. Yeah. Like in the rural areas.
Yeah.
So if you're on top of a mountain, Mount Everest, you're probably not going to get super good internet that's for streaming. But what you doing up there? Okay.
Well,
mountain shaming.
One of the games that I used Game Pass for, that I'm probably eventually going to be just buying it straight up and playing on Steam, is Coral Island. I haven't played a lot of it just because the Game Pass version has not gotten the updates it's needed to make it playable. And the game is very much one of those games that it probably should still be in early access, but they pushed it out anyway.
And that's like a Stardew-esque...
It's a Stardew-esque game, yes. That's one of those games that people compare it a lot to Stardew Valley. The difference is that Coral Island is more 3D, so it has...
Like a cross between Stardew and Animal Crossing?
Maybe a little bit. It's a farming sim, but it has other elements like diving and mining, which I guess is in Stardew, but diving is definitely one of those things that not a lot of games have in the farming simulation section of gaming. And therefore, they also have mermaids, or merfolk. The characters on Coral Island are wonderful looking. The art is beautiful.
She has a couple crushes.
Yes. There are a lot of romanceable options, and that's really exciting and interesting, and they all have their own quirks and backstories, and that's super cool having that depth of characters.
I'm not jealous.
And all of them have, or most of them have, family on the island living with them, and so there's, the brothers and cousins and grandmas and uncles, and so they're all, they're not all related, but, there's family sections, and that's really, really cool to see in a game. Yeah, I think I'd enjoy it more if I bought it and just played it on, PC version, because that's what it's made for, but, even just the Game Pass version, it held my attention, and I want to play it more.
Alright. So, how's all that compared to Palia?
So Palia just came out on Switch. It's been out, I think, on PC for a couple months. But it is an open world game that is farming and building and, figuring out, knowing the characters in the world. I haven't gotten very deep in it, and or the story is pretty slow. I don't really know if there is a story, other than helping the town out and figuring out how you came to be in Palia. But it's a very grindy game, so being able to play with your friends, because it is an MMO, being able to play with your friends and therefore getting more experience and gathering materials for playing with friends, that's really cool. It's a cool element that they've included in their game.
She's hinting that she wants me to play it more to help her.
But also there's, just in general, the atmosphere in the game is a lot of people that enjoy that atmosphere, that you can just type out, hey, I need help doing this, and somebody will come over and chop trees with you. And that's something that I miss from the RuneScape days, of having that community of gamers that's not necessarily voice, it's typing it out, and that's always cool to have nowadays.
Awesome. Kind of speaking of grinding, a game that I played a lot of this year was Diablo 4, which came out. Diablo is a very interesting beast. The world itself is pretty big, but after a point, it's like a lot. It really is a little bit of grinding. Like, you're always trying to get new gear to become a little bit stronger, so that you can kill slightly stronger enemies, to get better gear, to kill better, more stronger enemies. So there is that, endless grind, and it is endless because at every couple of months, a new season starts, and you basically start over again. But the thing that keeps it feeling somewhat fresh is that each season tends to have a unique theme or new systems or abilities and stuff added into the mix. And so I think we're on season 2, maybe 3. I think it's 2. Just because the game came out in summer, so it'd be season 2 is just about to end. And it's just one of those games that I know that I'm going to be playing in some form or another for over the next 10 years, basically. It's just one of those long-lasting games. Like, I was playing Diablo 3 up until Diablo 4 came out, and that came out in, 2013 or something like that? It's been a while. And even if the game launches... Blizzard games. Even if the game launched in a kind of a rough spot in certain things, they, especially with Diablo, they have the track record of really adding new things and updating it for many years. And so I am very excited to see how the game evolves and what new they include, because there's just there is definitely very satisfying that gameplay loop of finding a build of abilities that allows you to just decimate as many health spawn as possible. So today I'm a necromancer. Maybe next season I want to play as a demon hunter, and then maybe the season after that I want to play as a barbarian. And so there's all those different classes, and then finding which build lets you feel as powerful as you can or play in the style that you want. It's a fun game. It's hard to explain. I I guess maybe the same way that a game like Stardew Valley can feel cozy to some people, Diablo 4 can feel cozy too, in a weird, sick, demented sort of way. It's just that cozy, familiar feeling, and being able to make a little bit of progress whenever you want.
The comfort game.
Yeah.
You go back to it when you want that. You know how to play. You know how to play, and you can achieve what you want in a easy as you can way, because you know what the ins and outs and the tricks are.
So my comfy place is in hell.
I
guess. Are there any other games that stand out that you want to talk about?
I played a lot of like puzzly games, like a Tiny Sticker Tale and A Little to the Left, and The Last Campfire. Those three were very much puzzle, cutesy,
Untitled Goose Game.
Untitled Goose Game. Games that, other than A Tiny Sticker Tale, I think. Oh, I guess A Tiny Sticker Tale and A Little to the Left came out this year, but just cutesy puzzle games that were relatively short but had good feelings when playing.
A game doesn't need to be a huge budget, biggest graphic monster to be a good game. You just a game that knows what it wants to be and lets you just play around a little bit and have some fun with the mechanics. Like A Little to the Left is basically you just organizing different things. The arrange these pencils in tallest to shortest order. Then whoop, you got it.
Yeah, a game that gives you the achievements, the medals for doing things that I would normally do in my own life, sorting my own pencils and organizing my own drawer. It's like
the Tetris effect.
Yeah, and giving you, hey, congratulations, here's a star for doing this, and it scratches that itch. There was a couple of narrative interactive, storytelling games, Stray Gods and Coffee Talk. Stray Gods is a musical storytelling of the Greek gods in modern times, and that was very, very cool. Very cool experience. And then Coffee Talk and a little bit of Coffee Talk 2. I haven't finished that one. Where you're a barista and you're serving fantastical creatures, orcs and merfolk and cats who can turn into people, and very interesting clientele. So that those two were very cool games that I enjoyed this year. And then I also tried out Hades for the first time.
Hades is a really good game where there's that loop. There's again that core gameplay loop where you go out, fight as much as you can, and then you're gonna die.
Yeah.
You go back to the start, but you have a little bit of resources that you can spend to make yourself a little bit more powerful or get a new ability, and also just your knowledge, and so you can use that to get a little bit further.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing for me with Hades is that I can't compare myself to other people playing it. I have to say I am trying to get better on my own. How many rounds can I do better than comparatively than somebody else being able to get through the majority of the game, whatever. And I think the best thing that I thought of when playing Hades was this game is something where the more you play, the more you die, the more story you learn. And therefore, because I die so often, I'm getting the, most out of this game than somebody who's really good and wins it in one go.
Because there's a lot of characters that you could talk to.
I get to experience more story than somebody who just flies through it. So I just need to remember that.
Yeah. Well, luckily, there's nothing in the game that's going to compare you to other people. So it's just you looking on the internet.
Yeah, looking, online and seeing other people play.
But yeah, that game I think was a bit of a sleeper when it came out. Like, I mean, I knew it was going to be a good game because I had played other games by the developers, like Bastion, and I can't even remember the other game, but they are long time one of my favorite developers that I've always kept an eye on. And so Hades, when it finally came on Steam, it was fun to play, and I'm really looking forward to Hades 2. That should be coming out, I think, in 2024. So maybe that'll be something that we can both play together when it launches, and then we can compare and not race each other, but kind of compare and being like, oh, have you unlocked this thing? It's like, I unlocked that last week. It's like, oh, I'm sorry.
I think it would be more, what upgrade are you enjoying, or what weapon, what build are you doing? Build? That would be a better comparison than how far are you? Because that would be a better.
Absolutely, 100% agree. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. Mm-hmm. Speaking of games that we play together, we're doing a lot more like physical paper games, but something that I am looking forward to more is playing through Super Mario Wonder with you, and also showing you the new Super Mario RPG remake on Switch. Those are two games that I'm looking forward to playing through with you, because I've always been a huge Mario fan, and Super Mario RPG is like one of the best games ever, and one that I have a lot of nostalgia for from the Super NES. So being able to share that with you in 2024 is something I am excited for.
Yeah.
Are there anything that you're looking forward to in 2024? Particularly game-wise?
I'm not sure. I think something that I'm excited for but don't have a release date yet is the newest Nancy Drew game. I've played through a bunch this year. Of course, repeats. I've played all 33 of them. Some of them multiple times. Yeah, over the time.
Not just this year.
Over the course of my life. Over the course of my life, since I was 12 or whatever, I've played Nancy Drew games, and I'm excited for Game 34, Mystery of the Seven Keys, to come out, because it's been since we met.
Yeah, that was
the last one came out, and before that it was another 5 years, and so they're slowing down in their game making process, but we're all, the fandom is very excited for this newest game.
As you can see, we kind of like puzzle and detective mystery stuff.
Yep.
It's just our little shared interest.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's about it. This is a monster of a video already, and that
wasn't all of my list.
It was not. I kind of sped through it because I knew it was going to be a long video. I was like, if you want to make a 2-hour video, I'm happy to make a 2-hour video with you. I mean, there's nothing to be sorry about. I love I'm sure everybody else will agree that you being able to talk about these games is amazing. You're definitely a lot more vocal about and able to express what you like about these games a lot better than I am, and that's one of the things I admire about you. So there's absolutely nothing that you need to be apologetic about.
And I admire that you're able to edit all of the stuff that doesn't work very well. So
I'm not gonna edit this. No, I'm kidding. All right. Thanks again for hanging out with us in 2023, and I am excited because I really, really want to make more videos in 2024, and I think being able to just say, hey, let's turn on the camera and talk about something is something that I think we do pretty good. We do words okay.
Words are
hard, but also fun.
Something else. Yeah.
All right. That's it. Have a good new year.
See you next year.
See you next year.